Hey there, welcome to my channel, yada yada. Let's get down to business because there's a lot to talk about. Today we're going over the Gunslinger and their best perks for PvP. For grenades, the Gunslinger has different choices that complement different playstyles. The incendiary nade will hit harder the closer it detonates to a target, dealing a maximum of 170 damage followed by 5 ticks of burn damage. The burn damage used to be 7, but it's now around 4, and Bungie confirmed that this was not an intended change and may be tweaked back in the future. Currently, the incendiary nade is only strong enough to one-hit kill guardians with 1 armor, the lowest amount you can have. Despite the accidental June nerf, the incendiary is still a relatively good choice and complements players who want to use their nades offensively. The trip mine is a grenade that can complement players who use their nades kind of defensively. The trip mine will stick to anywhere you throw it and will last for about 10 seconds before detonating for around 188 damage. That makes it strong enough to kill guardians with armor 3 or lower. Again, despite that June nerf, the trip mine is still a good option for PvP. Remember, trip mines with red lights means enemy grenade, and white lights means teammate grenade. Finally, we have the Swarm Nade, which does not have the strength to one-hit kill even minimum armor guardians. It's also kinda easy to completely avoid the grenade tracking. This grenade can occasionally come in handy, but at the end of the day, I would say that the Trip Mine and the Incendiary are probably the better choices. The Gunslinger melee is the throwing knife, which has great range and hits for 142 damage in the head and 110 in the body. Unless you're trying to make a dank montage, the throwing knife is best used at medium to short ranges to pick off damaged opponents. It takes some getting used to, but it can do some real work with a little practice. For throwing knife upgrades, first up is Circle of Life, which reduces your golden gun cooldown every time you get a precision throwing knife kill. Before I tell you by how much, I need to remind everyone that even though the game says with tier 5 intellect your golden gun cooldown is 4 minutes, the actual time your golden gun cools down at is 4:17. Yeah, go figure. Anyway, killing one enemy normally at tier 5 intellect, your golden gun charges at 4:07, but with Circle of Life, killing one enemy in the head with a throwing knife drops the timer down to about 3:40. Shaving almost half a minute off your golden gun charge. Not bad. This is a safe option if you're not sure what else to go with because, hey, who wouldn't want a faster golden gun? Next we have Incendiary Blade, which makes enemies you hit with your throwing knife take minor burn damage. Even with the burn damage, you're still not able to one-shot minimum armor guardians, and while the extra damage is nice, I don't think it's enough to justify using this perk. Finally, we have Knife Juggler, which resets the cooldown of your throwing knife instantly on a precision knife kill. Not a lot to say here. If you really like the throwing knife, feel comfortable with it, and love fighting from short to medium range, this is definitely the perk you want to go with. Alright, let's talk about the Gunslinger Super, Golden Gun. Activating it replaces your current weapon with a golden gun that gives you exactly 12 seconds to fire off 3 shots, which will one-hit kill your enemies with ease. Golden gun is strong, and even without any upgrades, it can shut down wandering supers no problem. Because of this, golden gun can either be used offensively as a push mechanic, or defensively to counter enemies trying to push you with their supers. Remember that when using Golden Gun, you don't get extra damage resistance, so be really careful when using it and don't activate it in situations where you're completely exposed. For Golden Gun upgrades, let's start with Combustion, which makes enemies you kill with the Golden Gun explode. But the explosion damage isn't strong enough to kill another enemy, even if they're basically hugging the Guardian that you just shot. Realistically, this perk will almost never come into play in a meaningful way for you in PvP, and I don't recommend using it. Next, let's talk about Gunfighter, which reduces the cooldown of your golden gun. By how much? It depends on your intellect. Tier 5 intellect users will have their cooldown reduced by about 20-ish seconds, while Tier 0 will save around 30. Well, does that reduction kick in even more if you get kills? Not from what I can tell. Testing in the Crucible with Gunfighter turned on and turned off showed that the bonus reduction remained relatively constant regardless of kills. Gunfighter does stack along with Circle of Life though. At tier 5 intellect with both perks turned on, one precision knife kill dropped the timer almost a full minute. So, is Gunfighter worth it? If you're a very offensive, fast playstyle hunter, then probably, yeah. If you're more of a defensive golden gun user who waits to activate to shut down enemy supers, then probably not. Finally, we come to Deadeye, which increases the strength of your golden gun by 30%, making it powerful enough to put down both a max armor unstoppable striker titan mid-fist of havoc and a radiant skin max armor ram wearing Sunsinger. Deadeye also reads, increases the accuracy of your golden gun. But even without using the perk Deadeye, the regular golden gun already shoots in a perfectly straight line. The shot will always land directly within the crosshair, even when firing in mid-air or when firing quickly between hipfire and ADS. So how does Deadeye increase the accuracy of an already incredibly accurate gun? My first thought was an increased amount of aim assist. So I tested both bullet magnetism and crosshair stickiness. For stickiness, Deadeye did not cause my golden gun crosshair to stick to my enemy's body any longer than the normal golden gun did, both in a vertical sweep test and in a horizontal strafe test. The crosshair stuck to the enemy for the same amount of frames regardless of Deadeye being on or off. For bullet magnetism, Deadeye did not cause my golden gun shots to connect from any further away from the opponent's body than they were already able to do normally. There was essentially no noticeable difference in accuracy that I could find with these tests, which I did multiple times. So, at the end of the day, I'm sure Deadeye does actually increase the accuracy of your golden gun, but it's very difficult to show exactly how. My guess is that Bungie made the additional accuracy bonus minor to the point where it's hard to even distinguish it with the naked eye. If you feel that you're landing your shots more consistently with Deadeye, then that's what you should use. If you don't notice a difference and feel that you have no problem landing your shots normally, or you don't really care about the additional super killing power, then just use Gunfighter. For column 1 on your skill tree, let's start with Keyhole. Golden Gun overpenetrates and can damage multiple targets. The odds that this perk will help you on a regular basis in PvP are very low. Also, it can only shoot through just one enemy, no matter how many are lined up. Keyhole also can't pierce through a defender bubble, and it can't pierce through a juggernaut shield. In my opinion, it's not worth using. Now I want to talk about a perk that I think a lot of people sleep on, and that's Gunslinger's Trance. This increases weapon stability when you get precision kills. It can stack up to 3 times and has a 14-second timer, which resets back to 14 every time you get a new precision kill within that window. The strength of the bonus depends on what gun you're using. Guns that already have high stability will not see that much of an upside, where guns with lower stability can be surprisingly better. In testing the levels of stability, I went with 2 guns that are very strong in the current PvP meta, Hawkmoon and the IS Luna. With both guns, I tested the stability levels for each stack of Gunslinger's Trance, marking the spot where the bullets hit the wall and marking the highest point that the reticle kicked up to. Here's the results. Now, even if you realistically will only be hitting levels 1 and 2 in-game, that's still a pretty clear boost, and this can help you maintain a more consistent shot with more manageable recoil. Again, the buff on this perk is more noticeable from guns with lower stability, so try it out. If you find it helps, roll with it. If you don't notice a difference in your shot, then don't use it. Also, once activated, Gunslinger's Trance will boost the stability for all your guns, not just your primary. Finally, we have Scavenger, which increases the cooldown of your throwing knife and grenade every time you pick up ammo. Just to clarify, Scavenger will trigger once for every time you pick up any kind of ammo, including primary, meaning that if you pick up a box of special ammo and receive both special and primary, Scavenger will activate 2 times. The time shaved off your cooldown depends on your discipline or strength. Even though ammo boxes aren't as abundant as they used to be, you can still pick up primary ammo from enemy bodies every now and then. If you're unsure what perk to take in this column, Scavenger remains a solid choice. In column 2, let's start with Gambler's Dagger, which gives you an additional throwing knife. If you're really crazy about the throwing knife and like fighting up close, yeah, nothing to lose here. Over the Horizon will increase the range of your Golden Gun. Golden Gun does have a damage fall-off point at long range, where you'll no longer be able to one-hit kill enemies, but using Over the Horizon will pretty much take care of that. However, in Destiny, the maps are designed where I almost never really have a problem with regular Golden Gun range. If you do have that problem though, take Over the Horizon. Finally, we have Chain of Woe. Precision kills increase weapon reload speed. It can stack up to 3 times and has a 9-second timer which resets back to 9 in the same way that Gunslinger's Trance does. Here's a quick demo showing all levels. Chain of Woe does stack with armor that gives boosted reload speed as well. Now, the boost may not be terribly huge, but being able to ready your weapon even a little bit faster than your enemy could potentially mean the difference between living and dying. I say, give this perk a try and see if you like it. Chain of Woe also gives you +1 recovery, which is nice, and once activated, Chain increases reload speed for all your weapons, not just your primary. Alright, let's quickly touch on good exotic armor choices for the Gunslinger. Crest of Alpha Lupi. As always, the bonus to revive speed makes this a good choice for 3v3 game types when reviving plays a large part, like Trials. Also, being able to generate an extra orb with your Golden Gun, it's never a bad thing. Sealed Ahamkara Grasps. Gives you an additional melee charge. Note that this does not stack with Gambler's Dagger, but wearing this allows you to get 2 knives and roll with either Chain of Woe or Over the Horizon if you want. Young Ahamkara's Spine. This will give you a second trip mine and increases the trip mine duration from 10 to 30 seconds. That is a huge increase, and this is a damn good piece of armor for boosting your neutral game if you really enjoy using the trip mine. The Arachnid. Gives your Golden Gun the ability to zoom in when you ADS and provides a boost to range, even though that isn't mentioned, and extends the duration of your Golden Gun from 12 to about 15 seconds. I like armor that helps your neutral game more than your super, but this is still worth a try. Knucklehead Radar. Radar remains visible when aiming primary weapons. Not really a huge perk, but can definitely help out your neutral game, and it's a reliable choice. The Bones of Ayo upgrades your double jump to have a 3rd jump. Definitely a great boost to your mobility, and a solid way to improve the Gunslinger neutral game. The Radiant Dance Machines. Move faster when aiming your primary weapon. Not a lot to say there. Another great way to improve your neutral game, and a good choice overall. And finally, Lucky Raspberry. Even though it was designed for the Blade Dancer, wearing this still lets you respawn with full grenade energy as a Gunslinger. If you're a Trip Mine fan, stick with Ahamkara's Spine, but if you really like the Incendiary Grenade, give Lucky Raspberry a try. And as always, here are some sample builds I've put together for you to try out in the Crucible. Obviously, none of these builds are carved in stone, so always feel free to mix things up on your own and use whatever perks you like best. Alright guys, that's it for this vid. If you found it helpful, please feel free to give it a like and subscribe to my channel because I'm always working on more content. And if you really want, please check me out on Twitch and Twitter as well. Hope you learned something. See you next time.